Are altcoins dead? Welcome to Debate Crypto, where we question everything, trust nothing. All right, guys, everybody, welcome back to Debate Crypto. We got a special guest for TA today, CryptoKeeper. What's going on? Oh my God, 2 days in a row, the Crusader and Keeper together. What is going on?
I am here. I've got some plans with the daughter here in a little bit, but I figured, hey, why not jump on and share all of my TA prowess with everybody on the stream today? So
Yeah,
that's
man,
what I'm
good
here
to
for.
see you, man. We're gonna have some fun on here, and we have the one, the only Forrest coming in here hot with the TA. What's up, man? How you been?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
Dude, it's always great to have these TA conversations. I mean, this is what keeps the market running, right? People want to understand what's happening. Why are the altcoins bleeding out? Why are they going down? The altcoins dead? Is Bitcoin going to hit 20K? Is it going to hit 10K? People really get hyped up about these things, and they get really narrowed down and focused on what's happening day to day. I try to not do that because I'm not a trader, but other people really sweat those ideas. So that's why we do these shows, to make sure that people can sleep at ease and know what, at least have an estimation of what is going to be happening in the near future. But before we even get the show started today, let's just do a quick little market overwatch. See how the crypto markets are doing in general since Bitcoin's last shebang last week didn't turn out so well for the altcoins. But we're going to be seeing how they're doing today. See how this week is starting out. So I'm going to do a quick little refresh here. And yeah, the whole market cap is down almost.
Day mode. Oh, my eyes. Day mode.
Oh, day mode. That's what you're saying. Dude, I was so confused about what you were saying there for a minute. Bitcoin really hasn't even been moving that much this last 24 hours. Obviously, it hit 11% last week, which was no bueno, and everybody felt it. But outside of that movement, nothing's really been happening. Even the altcoins, ETH is only down 0.5% today, down 9 from last week. BNB down 12, XRP down to 17%. I'm telling you, I don't know what happened to the whole XRP to 10K. It's not a security anymore. I don't know what happened to that, but it's not seem to be feeling it. Cardano and everything else is pretty much 8%, 15 in the last week, but today nothing's really been happening. Sideways action, kind of boring, nothing crazy except for last week's action. Ooh, Polygon 17%. Ouch, that hurt. But what I want to start out with you, Keeper. How are you feeling about the markets right now with Bitcoin taking a dump last week? Do you think we're going to continue feeling pain here and heading down, or do you think we're going to have a bounce?
Yeah, as much as people probably don't want to hear it, I'm kind of looking for some more pain. I think that it's good for people to be able to experience with this bear market. Yeah, I mean, we absolutely, if you look back to January until now, we had a massive run up. And I don't think people felt as much pain as they thought they were going to feel, or maybe it kind of offset some of the original pain when we had the original move back from 69K. And I think that it's good for people to understand how to actually buy when the market's down. I think a lot of people genuinely don't understand the idea of dollar cost averaging. We talk about it a lot on here. It works. It really does. If you're a trader, awesome. That's why we bring somebody like Forrest on the show. But if you're not a trader, there is a really simple way to do this, and dollar cost averaging is it. And the time to dollar cost average, obviously, you're not trying to just time the market, but it's really nice if you do have that dry powder sitting around. You do get an opportunity. Maybe you normally dollar cost average on Fridays, but on, I forget what day it was. What day did it dump last week? Was it Friday?
I believe it was either Thursday or
it was the end of the week.
Friday, maybe even Wednesday. I don't know.
Whatever the day was, let's say that was a day or two before when you would normally dollar cost average. You say, oh, wait a minute, here's what we call an opportunity. So I think we're going to have more opportunity to come, but I think Forrest will probably have some good insight on that and kind of what he sees in the actual charts. I'm just going off of macroeconomics, what I see happening around the world right now. So I think it's an opportunity.
DCAing is not a sexy strategy, but it does work long term. And being a trader is great and super profitable. if you got the skills, right? Then that's the problem. You got to
Minor
find
detail.
out, do you got the skills and how long it takes to build those skills. So that's up to everybody that want to be a trader or not. DCAing allows me to sleep at night.
I like this comment right here from Green Day Profits. Oh, first of all, hold on. Let me jump into the chat. Green Day Profits, bro. Crusader almost missed you, but I'm not going to miss you, okay? You were first in the chat today. That's 3 out of 4 days, but what that actually amounts to is 1 day in a row, as you said a few minutes ago. It says more pain equals better entries. It's a gift for all of us. And I do want to say, while I agree with that, that's a really hard thing to digest. It's like telling someone, hey, this is great. My portfolio is down. Everything is down. But again, if you believe long-term where this is headed, it genuinely is a gift.
Yeah, dude, I 100% agree with that, right? Dollar cost averaging, you want these low days to come in to be able to pick up some more and build your portfolio up. But Forrest, before we even jump into the specific altcoins, same question to you. How are you feeling in general of the entire market? Do you see more down pain for the rest of this year, or do you think we're going to have a bounce?
No, so I actually think the market's incredibly unpredictable because there's so many things that we don't know happening behind the scenes. So like it's in my opinion, like right now, just directionally, it's 50-50. It's impossible to say, you know, are we going to go up or down from here? And the reason being is because there's a couple things happening. There's potentially CZ, the founder of Binance, rumored to have a liquidation point on Binance Coin BNB at around $212. Well, in order to defend that, he's supposedly selling off a lot of Bitcoin to pay down that loan and to buy BNB to prop up the price. How much Bitcoin he actually has to sell off, or if he actually has to continue to sell off any Bitcoin, it's just I don't know those numbers. So we may be out of the woods. Maybe the lows are in. Bitcoin starts recovering, and he doesn't get liquidated, or he doesn't get margin called, and we're good. Market starts dipping again and Bitcoin price starts going down, but BNB starts going closer and closer to that liquidation point. It could get really ugly. You could have to sell off large chunks of Bitcoin, reducing the price of Bitcoin to defend the BNB price. And that can kind of snowball an avalanche because the more he pushes the price of Bitcoin down, the more people are going to want to sell their BNB, and it could, create a liquidation cascade. So I genuinely don't know how that situation is going to resolve. And I think the price action of Bitcoin is is going to be dictated and dependent upon that outcome. The other thing we have is tomorrow, potentially we may get the Grayscale case, the Grayscale SEC case results. And I say we may is because these outcomes, these court case outcomes come out, I think on Tuesdays and Fridays. And this case has been going on for, I believe, over 165 days. And it's in like the 96th percentile for the length of how long these cases take. So every day that passes, it's more and more likely, it's becoming more and more of an outlier as to how long it's actually taking to get a resolution. And that case is super important because it starts to set a precedent, right? If they win and they get to say the SEC should have allowed us to convert our Grayscale trust, the GBTC trust, into an ETF so that people get their money out. And it could, essentially become more accessible to investors. If they get that, then essentially the SEC has no leg to stand on in terms of denying a Bitcoin spot ETF. So if we get a positive outcome to Grayscale tomorrow or Friday or next week, that's really, really good for Bitcoin because it means we're very likely to get a Bitcoin spot ETF. And I think you'll see a lot of confidence come out in the market. So the question, do I think more downside or more upside? I think it depends on those two things. I think it really depends on the Grayscale case. If we get a positive outcome tomorrow, I could see us running it right back up to the top of the range. I think we could run back up to 27, 28K, maybe even 30K because people are going to be very excited about that. And then, CZ may be out of the woods. Right. If we don't get a case tomorrow, an outcome tomorrow, and it gets delayed for another 3 days or another week, I think Bitcoin could spill off. I think it could spill off again down to like 24.2K or some of these levels that we're about to go over. I think, or if we get a bad outcome for Grayscale and Grayscale loses, then I think Bitcoin spills down to potentially 23K or lower. And, so yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I think it's very just dependent.
Yeah. If they do win, right? Do you think that is going to have a long-lasting effect to the bullish side for Bitcoin, unlike XRP's bullish news? Or do you think it's going to be kind of like the XRP equivalent where you're going to have this massive pump originally and then it's just going to fizzle right back out?
I personally, so I think there will be like kind of a big pump and then it'll kind of fizzle a little bit, but will trend a little bit more sideways. But I do think the pump is bigger because it's more meaningful. I don't think I think the average person doesn't fully grasp like how big a spot Bitcoin ETF is. My neighbor is a portfolio manager for BlackRock. She said that they are spending a ton of money lobbying for this Bitcoin spot ETF approval. It gets brought up in their day. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of BlackRock, but I can't control who I live next to.
Hey, if you get a little information here and there, toss that over
Yeah.
Debate Crypto's way. There's no rules right now in the crypto space. We'll do a little Nancy Pelosi action. Just give us the information. You know what I mean?
Right. But what it essentially allows people to do is, they take their 401k, which oftentimes they is taken right out of their paycheck, or and then they get a 401k match from their employer. It creates what is referred to as the infinite bid, but for Bitcoin. So like the S&P 500, it's just a huge Ponzi, but it keeps going up and up and up and up in large part because it has the infinite bid, because it has people DCAing in from their paycheck week in, week
All
out,
the time.
over and over and over and over again. And when wages go up, people get a raise. Oh, a larger percentage of their paycheck is going into the S&P 500, right? And you kind of saw that for gold when BlackRock launched a gold ETF. I think it was back in like 2004. Gold just took off because there was just more demand for it. It's simple supply and demand. So this BlackRock spot ETF is such a big deal because it creates so much demand and constant long-term demand for Bitcoin. So this grayscale case, if we get it, it essentially means that it increases the odds of a Bitcoin spot ETF approval drastically. And I think the market will have to price that in. And I personally think like with a Bitcoin spot ETF, that to me is more bullish than the halving. And I know that's like crazy talk to a lot of people, but like I legitimately think it brings in like, yeah, the halving is great because it reduces the incoming supply of Bitcoin by 50%. Okay, that's great. You're reducing the incoming supply by 50%. But what if we just tripled the demand for Bitcoin through a Bitcoin spot ETF? That to me has a bigger outcome, and that to me is the biggest catalyst and driver towards six-figure Bitcoin. Personally,
Hey, Crusader.
So I think it's a big deal.
I totally agree. I don't mean to cut in there.
Sure.
I don't mean to cut in there for us. I just wanted to pull a comment real quick and see what you guys thought of this. I couldn't disagree with this comment more. Binance gone would be the best thing for crypto. I want to hear what you guys have to say about this, but I could not disagree with this more. Now, you might not like CZ, you might not like Binance as a platform, but the reality is, unless I'm wrong on this, which I don't think I am, they are the largest of large exchanges, and it is an access point for basically the whole world to get into crypto. If Binance failed, that would be absolutely catastrophic. I don't care who's behind the scenes running Binance. It would be catastrophic for Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market. Same thing if Coinbase were to fail. That's the American version of Binance. It is the entry point. It is the introduction for people into crypto. Do you guys agree or disagree?
I'll let Forrest go first, and then I'll go.
Yeah, I agree with you, Keeper. Look, I get like people get into this like centralized versus decentralized argument, and like that make centralization the enemy. But like what I think is going on right now is that Binance has a large market share. They're the incumbent in the industry, as is Coinbase. And who are the big players going after? They're trying to cut out the incumbents. They're trying to cut out Coinbase. The Coinbase is being sued. The DOJ's going into Binance or digging into Binance, and ultimately, like, look, I'm not saying that Binance is crystal clean and they haven't done shady things and they're the best actors. They've done shady stuff. They've probably but ultimately they are one of the biggest on-ramps into the crypto space. They create they have tons of liquidity, tons of coins to choose from. You want that option for people to, hey, if they want to speculate on crypto, if they want to buy crypto, they can buy it through Coinbase. And then if they want to move it off chain, if they want to buy Bitcoin on Coinbase or Binance, and move it onto a ledger wallet or into cold storage or onto a paper wallet, whatever like your self custody, choice is, then Binance is actually a really good place to do that. Now, would I keep large amounts of funds on Binance? No, of course not. I'm buying it. I'm getting it off, right? But ultimately, you want those on ramps and you want those exchanges where you can, like, trust me, like I know a lot of people are like, in the camp of like, I'm never going to sell any Bitcoin. I'm never going to sell any crypto. But you want those exchanges with a lot of liquidity. You want both centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges, because if and when the time comes that you want to take profits out, whether you're bearish on crypto or you've just made a lot of money and you want to buy something, buy a house, pay your house off, car, whatever, you want that liquidity, and they have a ton of it. You don't want to have to go to a Bitcoin ATM to cash out. You don't want to have like these huge fees. So I not the biggest fan of Binance in terms of like, what they do, but they're a pretty vital part of this space and arguably a lot better than what's coming, right? They're the incumbent right now. And you think Binance and CZ is bad, wait till you get BlackRock involved in some of these exchanges run by like huge funds and asset managers. You think, Binance might be doing some shady stuff. Look at JP Morgan and the silver market and all of the they've got fined $1 billion, but they made billions more, manipulating the silver market.
Yeah.
Trust me, it only gets worse from here.
Yeah,
exactly, man. I agree with both of you guys, right? The problem is, if you're all about decentralization and you don't care about making any money today or tomorrow, burn all the centralized exchanges, right? Burn them all down to the ground, go fully decentralized. But let me tell you, your bags aren't going to be pumping anytime soon, right? You're going to need BlackRock. You're going to need Binance, right? Look what happened with FTX. FTX went down and the market crashed hard. And not only did the market crash hard, people in general lost a lot and lots of money being locked up in there, right? With decentralized exchanges. So that is one of the reasons why I don't want to see a centralized exchange go down as big as Binance, not just because of their reputation in the space and how big they've been and how long they've been in the space. FTX was only around for like a year, maybe two, and look at what it caused. Imagine Binance has been around for multiple years. If they go down, a ton of people worldwide are going to lose a ton of money, and I don't want to see that. So for that reason, I wouldn't want to see Binance fail. Like Forrest said, have they done sketchy things that we've heard of? Some things we probably haven't heard of course, right? This is in a gray area, unregulated space in a lot of countries where kind of a first mover advantage. Sometimes you got to just go for it, and instead of asking for permission, just ask for forgiveness later down the road, kind of situation. So no, I don't want to see Binance fail. If you believe that any centralized exchange is a problem, which I do, right? I do see the pros and the cons to centralized exchanges. If you don't like them, that's what the decentralized exchanges are there for. Go use them, right? Use the centralized exchanges for what they are: an on-ramp and off-ramp. Get into crypto, get out of crypto, and get out of there. Don't use it as a bank account. That's where people mess up. So they all have a purpose. You just got to use it properly. So that's what I gotta say about that.
Smash that like if you haven't already, Crypto Fam. We got about 33 people in here. Thank you guys for being here, and make sure that you're following Forrest. Forrest, what time are you live streaming? What's your stream schedule looking like right now?
I used to do like 10 p.m. at night, but I've been trying to get on a better sleep schedule. So I've been doing 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern time in the mornings. Good mornings.
His link is down below the stream, so make sure that you guys are following him for sure.
Yeah, dude.
Crusader, what we got?
Yeah, so we mentioned XRP earlier, right? It fizzling out. So let's see where this fizzle has landed. Where are we at? How much lower are we gonna go? Please tell me XRP is gonna hit 11 cents. Not because I want to buy, because I want to see people get liquid.
11 cents. I would literally be at that point I would be in the negative at 11 cents overall, and I think my average is like 15. I'd be feeling that.
Somebody on TikTok said that I'm a terrible person for laughing at people losing money, and I said maybe, but I narrow it down to only XRP. So I think that outweighs everybody.
You're objectively narrow-minded, and you picked XRP. Got it. Okay, got it.
Cool. Yeah, so we want to take a look at the XRP chart here.
Yeah, let's see it.
Cool. All right. So the first thing I always do is I throw on this indicator called easy bands. And the reason I put these on first is I want to get my bearings. So I know there's a lot of like horizontal lines going through this chart. Try to ignore those for now. Those will be important in a second. Those are support and resistance clusters. But essentially, XRP has been a really solid coin to be trading based on the easy band. So you just look at when is it overvalued, when it's up in the red zone, when is it undervalued, when it's up in the green zone or down in the green zone. Essentially, what this indicator tells me is when not to buy XRP. Right? When do I not want to buy XRP? I don't want to buy it when it's up here in the red. Right? I don't want to get suckered into buying the top. And a lot of people they make the constant mistake of buying the top when it's overvalued and overbought. So if anything, it doesn't necessarily mean hey, only buy when it's in the green or only trade and accumulate when it's in the green. But what it can help you do is just ground like, hey, are we overvalued or undervalued right now? Well, if we zoom in and we see we're close to the 21-week simple moving average, which is this purple dashed line. So we're quote unquote like fair value range, right? We're not overvalued or undervalued. We could move up, we could move down. We've essentially done a mean reversion. Right over here, a lot of people just got suckered into thinking this is going to go to $1.50, $2, whatever. And of course, what's the most likely scenario next? Just a mean reversion back to the 21-week simple moving average. So that's where we're at right now. Let me zoom in a little bit further and probably go to the 4-hour. So we've got our support and resistance clusters, and you can essentially see that. So what we're doing here is we're just isolating for leveraged trading behaviors in the market and risk reward incentives in the market. And I've kind of pre-populated all these levels. I'm not going to throw the indicators on right now, but essentially these levels are where you can, no longer go short or long at a certain level, and they just act as support and resistance. So we had just kind of a pretty steep downtrend line, right? And then we started chopping sideways on this level, right? This level started coming in because buyers were more incentivized to come in, and sellers were less incentivized to continue selling. And then, of course, we broke down below and had that big liquidation event, right? And then we just reacclimated and we overshot to the downside, and the 21-week simple moving average came in, and we've just kind of consolidated towards this 50-cent level, which is a risk reward level and a big even price bias or psychological level. So right now we're still in this general downtrend. And to be quite honest, I could probably draw this more so. You probably extend this out something like this. And essentially, I just don't see XRP going up until it starts breaking this downtrend. I don't want to be long XRP until the downtrend's broken, until we can start poking the head back up above 61 cents. Then, we can reestablish an uptrend. Otherwise, I would just expect a lot of chop, probably just continuing in this downtrend. It could take a long time. We could spend a ton of time here at 50 cents going sideways. We could, see further downside where we just re-enter this, pre-Ripple case level, which was, very clear support, like these two levels right here, 45 cents and basically 47, right? You can see held support over here, held support at around 47 before it took off. So reverting back down to this, red level at 47, not out of the question. But I would expect this to just come back up and retest the trend line at some point. The trigger that I'd be looking for to get long would be, something like this, right? If we can break through the downtrend level, then we've got a nice little gap to be trading. If I go over to our arrow tool, I'd be looking to trade something like this, from 50 cents up to 57, 58, maybe even 60. Right. And then if we can break through 60, I'd be looking to buy 60 as support. Otherwise, as we move up through here, I'd be looking, there's so much resistance here, which was prior support, and where we just put in a ton of volume here horizontally. I would be looking to actually short this at around 61 cents. Look for a little short back down onto the trend line or back down to these levels. But you see the big gap here. The big gap is between 61 cents and 50 cents. Right. And we just want to be, kind of short biased until we break through this trend line, and then maybe short biased up towards 61 cents.
Forrest, is XRP an asset that you regularly trade? Is it something that you stay away from? What's that look like for you?
I don't hold any, nor do I trade any, just because there's two price action for me is a little bit more difficult to predict, just because it's wrapped up in this court case and you get like this kind of volatility. Yeah. So for me, it just doesn't trade. in an attractive manner for me to be able to like sit and kind of predict. Like at any time, like I just hate the idea of, all right, let's imagine we were in a downtrend or whatever, and I was like, I'm not saying I wasn't, but let's just say I was shorting XRP based on the chart, and then the court case comes out and just rips me out of my short. Right. Or I'm long, right. And they make an announcement that the court case is being appealed, and then it just, starts crashing again. And it just, it's too news based for me to really want to trade it. I like to trade stuff that's, more dependent on the chart.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I'm interested to see where XRP is going to head. We hear so many people talk about it. Crusader and I like to banter back and forth about it. I've never been the guy to tell you that it's going to $100 or anything wild, like that. But I am interested to see what kind of partnerships that they're going to be able to actually maintain when all of this kind of washes out. They have officially declared not a security. Sack Nasty. Listen, you come meet us at a conference, we'll rip you right out. Crusader would love to rip you right out of your shorts. All right. So he's offering right now. But yeah, so I'll be interested to see what happens as we kind of get more solid. And I totally understand the thought process behind that for us. You're right. It is a news catalyst based asset, at least as of now. Maybe once we pull away from that. I do know that Magic, who comes on here a lot, he likes to trade. He likes trading XRP, though. Crusader, do you know what his reasoning for enjoying, because he thinks it trades predictably between some of the ranges?
Yeah, he's got some, I don't know what he calls it,
Some magic,
some magic style, whatever it is that he does with XRP to get some pretty good ranges on it. Has been able to make some pretty good calls. He called when I think it was over like $1.20 or something like that it was going to drop all the way down to like 29 cents. And people were calling him crazy. And it took like about a year for it to play out or something like that. Yeah. And it finally did. And he's like, there it is. Right. And he's like, I've been waiting for that level the whole time. No doubt that I was going to get there, and it got there. So he's been pretty good at predicting XRP. His style is obviously very different from other people's. Everyone has different styles. It's just been working out for him when it comes to XRP.
Hey, Crusader, I know that Forrest, you had kind of mentioned earlier something about Rune. We want to do kind of a random one from the chat real quick. You want to pull Rune for Crypto Gamer. Crypto Gamer, shout out to you, brother. You are around all the time. We appreciate you for being here. But yeah, you want to take a peek at that for us? All right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's actually currently in a Rune short that I've taken profits on this morning. So shorted it last night at around like $1.80. So yeah, Rune, first things first, like I said, I always like to go to the daily chart and throw on the easy bands just so we can see, are we overbought or are we oversold? Okay, we're overbought. That means this trend is somewhat extended. It's obviously a clear uptrend. So, but we're overbought, so we can start looking for some short opportunities and looking for some mean reversions. This could go all the way back down to $1.20 here, and that would just be a normal mean reversion before potentially continuing this uptrend. Right. So I'm going to zoom back into, let's say, the hourly. And
hey, Forrest, when you're pulling this, sorry to cut you off, but can you tell me, just because this is not an asset that I'm familiar with, what is Rune?
Rune is it's like a cross-chain swapping protocol, if I'm not mistaken, and they just made some fundamental changes to their tokenomics where it's kind of like more Ponzi-esque, kind of reminiscent of Terra Luna, where they burn a bunch of Rune when you take out loans against it.
Okay.
Kind of sketchy, but if timed correctly and going into the bull market, it could have some insane gains, but also probably a lot of potential to see like 80-90% drawdowns in like large corrections in the overall market. So yeah, kind of reminiscent of Terra Luna. We'll see how this shakes out. But yeah, so we had this bullish pattern. This was an ascending triangle, which popped up. But then this ascending triangle round tripped back inside the pattern, which is bearish. And then once we poked our head out of the pattern, that's where I added more to my shorts. So I shorted up here because we had a ton of bearish divergence on 15-minute, 1 hour, and 4 hour charts. Added down here, and then took profits down. My target was $1.57. This support and resistance cluster. But as I was watching price action this morning on a shorter term time frame, this 15-minute, we started to see this kind of trend break and these two candles come in. And that's where I just, locked in half because it looked like we were starting to get a pretty strong bid. And that kind of has turned into to this little uptrend, right? The shorter term uptrend, this recovery pump. So, we'll see if this ends up, being able to recover 173 and continuing to push up. If so, then we want to see it revalidate this trend line in order to go higher. Me, because I'm short, I want to, and I still have 50% of the trade on. I'm just going to keep my stop loss there. If it takes that out, great. I'll take the other, little bit of profit off of my trade. Otherwise, if it holds this green 5x margin pressure level, right, we want to see it trend back down towards $1.57. That's where I'll probably close the rest of my trade.
Where do you like to trade, Forrest? Where do you like to trade? Where do you like to leverage trade?
So if you're based in the US, I don't say where I personally trade. If you're based in the US, BTCC is a decent option. And if you're not based in the US, Bybit is a decent option.
Gotcha.
Yeah. You just never know. You never know with US
yeah, I get it.
Laws totally and stuff. So
yeah.
VPN's your best friend. But yeah. So pretty straightforward here. I think this cluster of support is going to ultimately act like a magnet. You can see how much we interacted with it over here. There's just a lot of market incentives ultimately pushing this back down. So my guess here is that we'll probably come, whether it's here or up in this range. My guess is that we'll come down and make a lower high, and that'll be the beginning of your kind of macro correction. Not to say I don't necessarily think Rune's done for, but we had the bearish divergence here. I think we could come all the way back down to the 21-week simple moving average or somewhere in this region before continuing this uptrend. It's just from the bottom here, it has pumped over 100%. Very frequently, you're going to be in for. We've already seen the 15% correction. But very frequently, you're going to come back down to, this sideways volume profile. Maybe we go up one last time before we get the macro correction, but I do think you're going to start to see it settle in this region. We throw on the 21-week simple moving average, right? You've got that starting to come upwards. So we'll see if it has one more pump or not, but don't be surprised if this starts to just level out a little bit, come back down towards reality before maybe loading up again. We'll see.
Dude, great. I mean, we got people in the chat blowing up talking about H-bar, how it's the true king and everything else is junk. And one of those were on the list. So why don't we look at H-bar? I saw H-bar did have a massive run up recently. They had a they came out some news about some big partnership. I forgot what kind of
I'll look while he pulls the
partnership they announced with the CBDCs or whatever it was that made it pump.
Yeah, we can take a peek at H-bar here. Okay, so what we do have is on the hourly. Let's go out to actually the 4 hour. So the 4 hour is looking really nice, actually. You kind of have this steady uptrend with kind of expanding volatility, and a lot of times that can resolve in a really, really big pump. So I'm not saying that H-bar is going to pump, but it does have the kind of the pretext to see a really large rally just based off of this expanding volatility in an uptrend. Oftentimes you get that kind of blow off top. So going up to 10 cents, not out of the question here in the short term. So let's drawings here. Let's go easy bands. All right, where are we? And we have the room on the easy bands to do it too. So let's go out to the daily. So we are not even in red easy band territory yet, and we're actually trending really, really nicely. So we've just recovered our 21-week simple moving average. We're seeing that expanding volatility. We don't actually hit the really strong resist here until 8.5 to 11 cents, which is kind of our prior high here. So initially, to me, this looks very bullish. Now, if the rest of the market kind of capitulates a little bit, it could get dragged down. And what you really want to be paying attention to is this trend line breaking. If this trend line breaks, then you actually probably want to flip short, right? And watch this come back down to some support. And in that case, that's probably the overall market kind of capitulating. Maybe Bitcoin goes down to 23K. So pay attention to that just, very clean trend line here. But I do think that this is going to be added to my watch list for, long opportunities. So we'll get that out of the way, and then we'll throw on our long margin pressure levels off of our swing low here. And so our resistance doesn't actually come in until around 8 cents here. which was a prior level. So this could actually be a pretty decent trade setup right here. Looking, and I'd like to run more levels to add more confidence to this trade.
Quick question on that indicator. Is that your indicator? That long too? I've never seen that.
Yep. Yeah. So this is long margin pressure levels. So I sell these indicators at Sistine.ai. So yeah, these are, so essentially what these indicators help you find is it's as price moves into this region, comes back down below, and obviously this was a big liquidation, but why did it catch at this level? Well, that's because that's where you can start going long on 4x long leverage while maintaining a liquidation point below this local low. So when the entire market can start going long on 4x leverage below this point, there's a lot of bids down there. There's a lot of incentive to actually go take that bet, right? Because you're betting that, hey, we're in an uptrend. We're not going to make a new low. Go long at 4x leverage. It's more likely that we make a new high or go upwards before coming down and getting liquidated here. So, and vice versa on the way up, this acts as resistance, right? So actually off of this low, we saw resistance around this level, right? Because that's where you can no longer go long on 3x leverage. And the crypto market's extremely leveraged. Even in a bear market, there's lots of leverage in the system. Oh, yeah. And when we can isolate for those leverage incentives in the market, we can pick up some decent support and resistance levels. Let's grab. I want to grab the short margin pressure levels because that's the same thing, but in reverse, and see if we can find some decent support levels where they overlap. Yeah. So initially, this was a decent level to have reclaimed. This is where the shorts are kind of getting battered up a little bit. We do see a little bit of confluence around 7.9 to 8 cents. So that's a resistance level that I would be wary of, kind of right in this region if we were to run this back up. But that would be the target for a long position. I do also want to drag this over and just see if we can get some confluence here between our two levels. Yeah, so we're actually on a pretty decent support level here. So, where you see these two levels, where we actually held support would have been a decent trade to, would have been happy with that entry right there. Tight stop loss, targeting 8 cents. And the reason I'd be happy with this trade setup is because as price dips below, call it 6 cents, you can no longer go short, or the market participants can no longer go short on 4x leverage and hide their liquidation point here. So you're going to have less shorts in the market, and you're going to see longs increase. You're going to see more longs come in on this 3x long margin pressure level because you can start going long on 3x leverage while maintaining a liquidation point below that local low down here. So yeah, there's some confluence in there. I do think that this is starting to look a little bit juicy. Yeah, there's definitely some confluent levels here that I'd rather map out and build out the chart and completely. But yeah, then we're getting 7.9 again off of this local low. So personally, if I had to bet here, I would guess that this, if we get a positive outcome to the grayscale situation tomorrow, this probably zips up to 7.9 over the next few days. If we get a negative outcome or no outcome, we probably get more chop or more downside, maybe come back down and retest this support. But the target for a long position on HBAR here, to me, is around 8 cents in the short term. But the key thing here is, like, if you can enter as close as possible to this trend line, you're getting a pretty decent risk reward, right? You want to see this, like, ideally, if we don't get a good outcome to the situation tomorrow, the grayscale situation, maybe we see this come back down to retest this support, and that gives you a nice little entry. And then maybe eventually we do get a positive outcome and it rips up to 8 cents. 8 cents is the high side target. But just looking for this trend line. If this trend line breaks, we want to cut it. That's a long-term trend line breaking, and it's usually quite bearish.
Yeah, in 5 days, it's 8 cents. I mean, that'd be a 60% move. You toss a little leverage on that. It's a great move.
Yep.
I muted myself. Crypto Gamer in the house says, Forrest is the man, the myth, the legend. That's right, guys. If you like his indicators, you like what he's doing, go check out his link down below. Go check out his channel. Go check out his Twitter. He's pretty active on Twitter, for sure. But man, let's talk about BNB, right? So BNB's whole rumor was, before we jump into that, HBAR, right? Well, the announcement was something about them
Oh
partnering
yeah.
with the Federal Reserve, right?
Yeah, it literally just the announcement was that the token surged like 16% according to CoinGecko. It was just basically saying the Federal Reserve Instant Payments platform, FedNow, listed the micropayments platform Drop as their service provider. So that's what it was. Yeah, it's definitely related to FedNow. So Crusader, I'm sure you're super happy. You about to go start trading HBAR as well? You gonna stack up on HBAR and XRP, bro, or what?
No, dude, I'll trade them, but I'll never hold them. I've shorted XRP. I've made some money. I think it was
Have
actually
you
one of my,
longed XRP?
no, only short. Only shorts. Short to zero, baby. Let's go. So yeah, I would short or long, or
I would
HBAR.
shart. Did you just
I
say you
would
were going to
start
shart?
all over XRP because that's just my personal bias. But when it comes to BNB, though, there's a whole rumor that CZ is going to get liquidated. That he was trying to hold that 212 price point for BNB. Now he's going to have to sell a bunch of Bitcoin, and that's why the whole market is dumping. It's because CZ is selling his thousands and thousands of Bitcoin to be able to keep up the BNB price. BNB broke 212. It's at 208 or something like that, maybe even a little bit higher now.
It's at 209.98.
Okay, 209. I was seeing like 210, but yeah,
Mhm.
same thing. We're below 212. Is
Yeah.
he getting margin called? Is BNB going to continue dumping? Forest, what do you think is happening with BNB?
Yeah, this is a tough one because we're below that 212 region. It's tough to tell, where exactly. I mean, he could have bought the position down to 208. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know if it's 212. We don't know if it's 208. We don't know if it's 207. Right? He could have,
and it's
he could have paid
speculation. I
off.
don't think there's any actual concrete evidence of this
Right.
loan happening or not. So this is pure speculation.
Right. I mean, an interesting chart to actually look at is BNB versus Bitcoin, right? Because if in fact, right, if in fact he's selling off Bitcoin, selling Bitcoin to buy BNB, we should be seeing BNB go up against Bitcoin.
Mhm.
But right now, in the last couple of days, I mean, yeah, I mean, it looks like it was defended here pretty hard. BNB versus Bitcoin, it was defended against the Bitcoin liquidations, but I mean that's pretty bearish. That's a bear flag right there against Bitcoin. So we obviously don't want to see that break. If we go back over to the BNB chart real quick.
People forget in the meantime while you're trying to find that, people forget that BNB ripped last bull market. It was down at like $36, even less than that throughout the bear market of 2018, 2019. And it went all the way up to like 400, I think, maybe even $500.
Yeah, it went to 676.
It did a massive rip. So if
Mhm.
this does happen and BNB does break down and crash even further, I obviously not financial advice, but I would be interested in picking up some BNB just because why wouldn't I be betting on one of the largest exchanges to succeed? So I think it has potential to run again.
Crusader, I figured it out. I went crazy on the COVID dip with Bitcoin and Ethereum, and just taking a peek at the chart. Looks like I should have gone nuts on BNB because it was at $12. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
man.
then ran
It
up to
was
76.
low. I mean, but let's assume you missed that and picked it up around the average of like $36 because they stayed there for quite a bit of
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Dude, massive rip.
Oh, yeah.
Just like Cardano. Cardano was at
Mhm.
2 cents for over a year.
For a
2
long time.
cents. Nobody
Mhm.
even wanted to talk about Cardano.
Yeah.
$3, baby.
I'll be
$3.
interested to see. I'll be interested to see. Not to get us off topic, we'll go into BNB, but I'll be interested to see what the. I know there's going to be a bunch of them. There's going to be meme coins. There's going to be different talking points and different projects or whatever. But I'll be interested to see what like the token is on this next run. Right, the next big name, top tier project that just absolutely just rips. Like for example, Solana did wild numbers. Right, it went insane off of a bunch of VC capital,
Quant
venture capital and
went
whatever
crazy
else.
too.
Quant went nuts. There was some projects that absolutely went nuts, but again, we're in a bear market now. So do you believe in those projects? If you do, and the reality is you can't trade this way, but a lot of these projects that are legitimate projects will go back to their all-time highs and higher. And so if it is genuinely a project that you believe in, obviously this is never financial advice, but if it's a project that you genuinely believe in, just a thought process. There's a lot of opportunity out there in these markets right now, a ton for sure.
Yeah, let's look at BNB.
Yeah, for sure. So look, I mean, here's the thing. You can only depend on a chart so much when there's like major whale games going on. Like we don't know how much Bitcoin, if this is even true, we don't know how much Bitcoin CZ can sell before he has to stop. We don't know how much he's going to defend this level. But what I will say is like this is something where if you start to see this breaking, and again, like this could, this is already under 212. If you start seeing this accelerate down here below this box, you probably want to step out of the way until we get to this kind of block here at around 130, which is going to be a pretty nasty drop. And then it's like if you then you're trying to catch a bounce there at around 130. I mean, you got a big gap here, and you don't know how many liquidations are going to happen. This is something that it's tough because like, do you want to sit and short this into into CZ, potentially propping it up? Maybe not. So this is something that personally does not fit into my trading plan. I say like, hey, look, the chart's telling us that there's some support and some demand here. At $199, we do have our short margin pressure level, right? Which means shorts are going to, be more at risk, trying to short this thing because they're not going to be able to hide a liquidation point up here. It is in a downtrend, but it's one of those things where I don't have the insider information to be confident one direction or the other of who's going to win this battle. So because of that, until this like really starts breaking, I really just don't want to trade it. And even then, if this starts breaking, I'm probably going to short other coins. I'm probably going to look at like some other very liquid coins and get some shorts in before trying to short something that CZ could just turn around, sell 100 plus Bitcoin and just market buy BNB back and push the price right back up. And then your short gets stuffed by, a whale, defending the price. So it's not something that I have an interest in trading just because I think it's so 50-50. It's so uncertain. I don't feel like I have an edge here. I will say I do think some demand will come in this region. And if you're looking to take a position, you're probably going to want to be looking for a bounce around 130 to 140. 130 to 140 as a potential place to bounce.
That's actually a great point about the fact that just how you mentioned earlier in the show about XRP being too news based, right? And the pumps and dumps happening based off of that. BNB is exactly that. CZ can prop it up at any moment that he wants with the level of resources and capital that he can have access to. So it's like you can't really go based off the technicals. So it's one of those things that you could really have to factor in if you are going to be shorting it or longing it or whatever it is, because it does play a factor and it's not just technicals. So it's definitely something. That's a great point. I really love the fact that you brought that up. But to wrap up the show here, I'm not too worried about BNB. I think BNB is going to be around for quite a bit of time. I think BNB is going to continue working out strong. Even if it drops to 130, I'd definitely, like I said, I'd be interested in scooping some up, not as a trader, but as a dollar cost averager, right? And just picking up a piece in my portfolio for the long term. But, I am interested in Ethereum. What do you see Ethereum going? Right? Ethereum took a massive nosedive as well. Do you think that a below 1,500, possibly even closer to 1,000 price point is possible sometime this year if Bitcoin continues to drop? And also, on the flip side of that, what are the upsides if Bitcoin does get good news? Where do you see it running to in the short term?
Yeah, so Ethereum's actually still in this like very, very bullish ascending triangle pattern on the macro time frame. It's just come back down towards its trend line. And I would argue that anywhere around $1,500 to $1,600 is a really good place to actually be bidding. And not to say that it can't break this trend line and go lower. Obviously, Bitcoin just broke its trend line and crashed quite hard. Maybe we see some of these levels like 1,300 or 1,200 come back into play. But me personally, this strip here is where we've put in just a ton of volume. It has been acted as support and resistance. I personally think we're going to at least back test it, unless we just get really bad news coming in and we get another cascade of liquidations.
And what price?
But this 17, I'm sorry.
What's the price point on that?
1760 to 1840. Yeah, it should act as a magnet. It should, you can see all the volume that's been put in here. It was prior resistance, deviation, resistance. We had this block over here, volume, right? We pushed up above it, and it was just where we spent a lot of time consolidating and acting as support. We deviated below it, recovered it, right, and then acted as support until we recently fell through. So oftentimes when you exit a range, you come back to back test it, right? So, we had this range here, right? We had this SVB collapse, and then we pushed back up. We pushed all the way up to 2000, but then where did we actually come back to back test? We came back to back test the range highs, right? In this strip around 1700 to 1800. So a lot of times, we've fallen through. Maybe we go a little bit further down, but ultimately I do expect us to come back and back test that. Now, whether we get back through from there or head back further down is to be determined. You also have your 21-week simple moving average up there, which will be starting to turn down a little bit, but it will be coming through this region. So this 21-week simple moving average is going to be coming here. Oftentimes you pass through the 21-week simple moving average, you come back through to back test it, right? We passed through it, we back tested it, right? We bounced off of it, we back tested it, right? So we probably come back in to back test this at some point. And right now we're at 1673. Maybe we come back down to the trend line and then back test. But that's, to me, kind of the range that I'm looking for Ethereum to move towards in the long term, right? So, yeah, I mean, $1,700 to $1,800 seems like a fair market value price. We're slightly below there, so I think you do have decent risk reward. We're still above this kind of longer term trend line, so. It's not looking amazing for Ethereum here. We do technically have a downtrend forming, lower highs and lower lows. That's not great, but I'd be looking for what price action does in this region. If it can hold this trend line, if it can back test this, get back up above it, that's where I start to get actually really bullish, because this macro pattern for ETH is an ascending triangle, and that is usually a very bullish pattern. When you break out of the top of that, we just don't have a lot of resistance all the way up until 2,800, right? 2,800, and then potentially 3,600. We start getting towards the next Bitcoin halving in I believe April of 2024. We could start to see some of these levels start coming into play, on that type of time frame.
Let's get it, bro. I'm all for it. I mean, 2,700 Ethereum would be massively great. I mean. Yeah.
Otherwise, just keep an eye on these lows, right? If we break down from this trend line, it's just like, okay, then we can kind of flip bearish, and that's where we'd want to accumulate down towards $1,100-$1,200.
Dude, that as well. Even though it sounds terrible in the short term, an $1,100 Ethereum, if you're a person that's going to be dollar cost averaging, I mean, it hit almost 5K last cycle. Let's assume that it even gets somewhere near that again without even creating a new all-time high. That's a 5x right there, or close to a 5x on your money on just holding Ethereum long term. I think that's great returns for someone that's not trading and is just waiting 1 to 2 years on it. I mean, Ethereum is one of the safer bets. That's why we're seeing a lot of speculation, and not just speculation, but interest in what you call it, Ethereum ETFs. We've seen some Ethereum ETFs in other countries. Now they're talking about futures trading on Ethereum and possibly even getting some spot ETFs for ETH. Not anytime soon, but the interest is there because it's the second largest asset. As people are jumping into the Bitcoin ETF, people are also getting interested for the Ethereum. But man, with all that being said, dude, I appreciate the hard work that you do when you come on this show, and you just, you kill it, dude, for like an hour, just hitting straight TA for everyone that's in the chat, right? Answering their questions for what coins they want to hear. So I greatly appreciate taking your time out of the day to be able to do this for the people. So tell them where they can find you. Tell them where they can, go support you.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter at 00forest. You can also find my website at Sistine. That's like the Sistine Chapel, sistine.ai. We have some indicators. You can also get those, so you can just pay for the indicators package to get access to them for life. Or we also have what is called the Research Hub, and that's where we just publish research. So it's not like a newsletter or anything like that. It's just as we find opportunities that are interesting in the market and we think are asymmetric risk reward opportunities, we publish research around those. So if you ever felt like you've wanted another set of eyes on the market, we can't cover everything, whether it's in the NFT space or the token space. and just you want to get research in your inbox and just be notified when an interesting opportunity comes up, then that's probably a good product for you.
Dude, that sounds great. So, guys, go make sure you follow him. Go make sure that you follow the link down below to his channel, to his Twitter. Go support him. It doesn't cost you anything. It costs you 2 seconds to go click on the link, hit a subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and like his videos or his posts on Twitter as well. So, like always, man, I appreciate you coming out here. I appreciate you giving this great not technology, but information to all these people in this space. And like always, guys, question everything, trust nothing. And until next time, hodl like it's hot. See you guys.